Hi everyone, welcome back to my Elden Ring series where I make a build for every melee weapon in the game. In this episode, I'll be covering the Cinquedea. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. The Cinquedea is a dagger that requires 10 strength and dexterity to wield, and it can be found on a corpse after dropping down behind the bestial sanctum in Dragon Barrow. It comes with the Quick Step Ash of War, which cannot be changed as it is a non-infusible weapon, and deals physical damage that scales mostly with strength. This weapon also provides a 10% damage boost to bestial incantations when held in hand, so I have the Clawmark seal in my offhand for casting, which also happens to boost bestial incantations as well. For this build, I went with a primarily strength-focused setup with a hefty investment in faith as well. I wanted to make a build that utilized both regular dagger attacks with the Cinquedea as well as bestial incantations. I included Bestial Sling, Beast Claw, and Stone of Garank in my spell lineup, which I consider to be the three best bestial spells. Between these three, you have a good mix of speed, range, and crowd control options, so you don't really need anything else. But of course, if there are other spells that you like, feel free to use them. With the fact that the Cinquedea boosts the beast spells, you would think that these two would have a natural synergy, but unfortunately, I found myself quite disappointed by how difficult it is to make them work in the same build. First of all, the Clawmark seal scales relatively similarly with both strength and faith, meaning we need to invest in both of these stats to get the damage we want out of our spells. Unfortunately, the Cinquedea does not benefit at all off of faith investment since it scales only with strength and cannot be buffed. That leaves us in an awkward position for our stats. But I did my best and I was able to come up with something at least decently viable, I think. At level 150, my stats are as follows: 50 Vigor, 20 Mind, 16 Endurance, 73 Strength, 10 Dexterity and Intelligence, 40 Faith, and 10 Arcane. Vigor and Mind are as low as I was comfortable going without the build feeling strained, and same thing with Endurance. More stamina would have been nice, but is more of a luxury than a necessity. As you can tell, I saved much more for damage stats than usual. I invested much more into strength compared to faith, so our bestial incantation damage isn't quite optimized, but my logic was that the extra strength will at least benefit our dagger as well, which I will be using for the bulk of my attacks anyway. I think 40 Faith is a good compromise where we still get respectable return on investment in terms of spell damage without sacrificing points in strength for the dagger. With high strength, we also have the option to either one or two hand our dagger when we aren't actively casting spells. If it weren't for the seal in our offhand, I would say to just two hand the dagger at all times for the extra strength boost, in which case you could argue that 54 strength is all you need. However, in the heat of battle, it is annoying to constantly go back and forth between one and two handing the dagger between spell casts, and it kind of breaks the flow that we want with the hybrid playstyle I'm building around. It is doable in my experience with enough practice, but I think it's a lot easier to just one-hand the dagger, in which case the strength soft cap is much higher. Honestly, this problem could have been solved if they had just made the dagger itself into a spell catalyst. That would be pretty cool, and they've done it before with weapons in other Souls games, but oh well, missed opportunity I guess. For my armor, I settled on this primitive warrior look, and to me it feels pretty on brand with the whole bestial theme. I think this guy looks like an absolute monster. I have the Omen Smirk mask, which gives us an additional 2 points in strength, bringing us to 75. Then I have the fur raiment chest piece, the leather arm wraps, and the duelist greaves. For my talismans, I have the Dragon Crest Great Shield for more defense, the Phlox Canvas Talisman for more incantation damage, the Two-Headed Turtle Talisman for more stamina recovery, and the Star Scourge Heirloom for plus 5 strength, bringing us the rest of the way to the one-handed soft cap of 80. For the Flask of Wondrous Physic, I have the Green Spill Crystal tier for more stamina, and the Opaline Hard tier for more defense. And that is all for this Cinquedea build. Definitely one of the more complicated and frustrating ones I've worked on thus far, but I will say it is pretty fun if you enjoy thematic roleplay type builds and don't care as much about optimization. Here is an overview of our setup from the menu screen. Thank you for watching, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.